I was imprisoned under Article 228. Article 228, Part 3. Clause 1 for drug possession in especially large quantities. They made me sell drugs. Maybe I was 6 or 7 years old, I remember. I married a Russian man just to get out of that hell. He would grab me, open the window, and hang me out of the 5th floor. Once he even stabbed a fork into my hand. It was sticking out of my hand. I was just praying to God for the night to end faster. They gave me my sentence immediately. They treated us like animals and packed us into those prison transport wagons. This is a regime facility, girls. A huge woman attacked me there. I asked someone, "Is it true there are lesbians here, butches, and even assaults?" She said, "No, nothing like that. When you arrive, you'll see everything yourself." Then she came up to me and said, "Oh, you will be my wife." First, I used to learn what articles someone was sentenced under, and then I tried to understand deeper why she committed the crime. And now, being free, I wouldn't even mind sleeping with a woman. I understood that in places like that, you simply cannot afford to get sick. Welcome, you have entered hell. I was born in Kazakhstan in the city of Taldykorgan. I remember my life from maybe 2 or 3 years old. By that time, I was already living with Roma gypsies. Sometimes they even made me sell drugs. "Go, take this outside, there's a client waiting." I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. When the police detained small children, they would release them because they had no right to imprison minors. So until the age of 14, they used small kids, gave them packages, and sent them to the streets. I thought that this was simply life. I felt like I was born into the system. I grew up in it. For me, it didn't feel dangerous. It was normal. I married a Russian man, hoping to escape that life. But I went from one extreme to another. He was addicted to drugs. I got pregnant and gave birth to a child, thinking the baby would save him and he would quit drugs. He promised every time, "Give birth? We'll start a new life." But those were just words. He started beating me, and one day I realized I had to leave and take my child. I knew I could buy drugs, sell them, make money, and escape from my addict husband. I had never worked before. I didn't even understand what work was. Then I was arrested with drugs in especially large quantities. It was 30 grams. Legally, it was considered possession with intent to distribute. I will never forget that day. While I was in the detention center, the investigator searched my home and supposedly found more drugs hidden in a sofa pillow. Another charge. She told me, "Don't even hope you'll go home." I received my sentence. We were transported to the colony in a prison train called a Stolypin wagon. This was another level of horror. Instead of compartments, there were bars. They packed us inside like animals. It was suffocating. People smoked constantly. We couldn't open the windows. No hot water. No toilet access unless the train stopped. It was terrible. Once I heard chains. I asked the guard, "What are those chains?" "A life sentence prisoner is walking to the toilet." He walked past us. I looked into his eyes and saw absolute emptiness. I could not imagine what someone must do to receive a life sentence, but there was no life in his eyes. We traveled for almost a month. When we arrived, about 15 officers were waiting. They lined us up immediately, hands behind our backs. They wanted to show us who was in charge. They said, "Welcome. You are in hell." At the beginning of my sentence, I cried constantly. I still hoped they would suddenly tell me to pack my things and go home. After about 3 years, I adapted. I remember the first time the prisoners from the barracks came to greet us. One woman with red lipstick and short hair came up to me and said, "Oh, you'll be my wife." I was shocked. Prison relationships were common. Some women behaved like men. They ordered men's underwear, men's deodorant like Old Spice, and masculine clothes. Many women were not lesbians before prison, but imagine living for years without affection. Sometimes another woman would bring candy like Raffaello after work. One woman courted me. Every night she left me little notes. "Good night, Rada." There were quotes, sweet messages. Nothing physical happened between us, but it felt nice to believe someone cared. It distracted me from prison life. Our day started at 6 a.m. with the Russian national anthem. We had to immediately make our beds and go outside for roll call. Then we marched to the cafeteria, singing a song, "Don't cry, girl, the years will pass." After inspection, we went to work. We sewed uniforms for male prisoners, police officers, and even generals. I almost never got sick. You simply cannot afford to get sick in prison. If you ask for medicine, they give you half a pill of analgin and say, one half for diarrhea, the other half for headaches. That's it. Prison constantly means stress. You cannot be alone. The only time you escape is when you fall asleep. Those few hours of sleep are your only peace. But prison also gives you a choice, who you become. Some women destroyed themselves, others grew stronger. There were no psychologists helping us. So I started studying people myself. I tried to understand why someone committed murder, because I myself once almost killed my stepfather. My stepfather used to beat my mother brutally. Once he hit her with a frying pan and she collapsed. I thought she died. I waited until he fell asleep so I could kill him. I hid in the closet and listened to him smoke his last cigarette. When the smell disappeared, I took a knife and stood over him while he slept. But I couldn't do it. I cried. I simply couldn't. My childhood was constant fear. He beat me with belts. He once stabbed a fork into my hand. He even hung me out of the window from the 5th floor. I never understood why. Later, he died terribly. A car hit him, his leg was amputated, and he died in a hospital alone, like a homeless man. And strangely, if I had been there, I would have helped him. When I was imprisoned, my son Nikita was 1 year and 4 months old. I received only a couple of photos of him during my entire sentence. Once I called home, he answered the phone. "Hello?" I said, "Hello, Nikita." He asked, "Who is this?" I wanted to say it's your mom, but I didn't. I didn't want to traumatize him. He hung up. I held the phone for the remaining 15 minutes and cried. After my release, I had nowhere to go. My son was living with his grandmother. I started from zero. I worked as a sales consultant. Then I learned to be a barista. But when employers saw the question, "Do you have a criminal record?" and I answered honestly, they refused to hire me. How is someone supposed to live after prison if no one gives them work? This is why many people return to crime. Eventually, I tried many things: hairstyles, makeup, eyelash extensions, permanent makeup. I even opened a small showroom. Now I want something bigger. I want to create my own eyelash extension brand. That's the dream I'm working toward now, and I truly hope it will succeed.